Jason Walker was a man apart, a granite statue in a garden of plastic gnomes. His neighbors in the peaceful cul-de-sac of Applewood Lane with their manicured lawns and two-car garages couldn't help but feel a tinge of apprehension in his presence. He was a stark reminder of a world they actively chose to ignore. A world of conflict, discipline, and sacrifice etched onto his face in the lines around his eyes and the rigid set of his jaw. He was a wolf, albeit a well-trained one, living amongst sheep. Jason had traded the battlefield for a backyard, the cacophony of war for the gentle hum of his wife's wind chimes. Yet peace was a foreign concept, a distant dream that eluded his sleep. His days, regimented like a military operation, started before the sun dared to peek over the horizon. He ran 5 miles, the pavement beneath his feet a poor substitute for the rough terrain he was used to. He returned, sweat-drenched and invigorated, to the aroma of coffee and bacon, a sensory symphony orchestrated by his wife, Sarah. Sarah, his anchor in the storm, understood the battles he fought within. She never pried, never pushed, yet her silence spoke volumes of her unwavering support. Their breakfast routine was a silent ritual, a comfortable silence punctuated by the clinking of silverware and the rustle of the morning newspaper. It was their sanctuary, a world away from the whispers and stares that followed Jason like a shadow. If you enjoyed Jason's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more on the Veteran Warrior channel. The neighbors, in their well-intentioned naivete, whispered about Jason. They saw his military short haircut, the way he carried himself with an air of quiet authority, and they concocted stories. Whispers of covert operations, of top-secret missions, of a past shrouded in mystery. He was a puzzle they couldn't solve, a cipher in a world that valued transparency. Jason, oblivious or perhaps indifferent to their speculations, went about his day with methodical precision. He tended to his vegetable garden, the rows of tomatoes and lettuce standing in perfect formation, a testament to his need for order. He fixed leaky faucets and squeaky doors, his every action imbued with a quiet competence that belied the turmoil raging within. He was a warrior at peace, or at least trying to be. The afternoons were spent at the local library, his sanctuary from the prying eyes and hushed whispers. He devoured books on history, philosophy, and strategy, his mind a sponge, constantly seeking knowledge, a way to make sense of a world that seemed to have moved on without him. He would often find himself drawn to the biographies of great military leaders, seeking solace in their stories, their struggles, their victories. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across Applewood Lane, Jason would find himself drawn to the park at the edge of the neighborhood. He would sit on a bench, watching the children play, their laughter a bittersweet melody that tugged at his heartstrings. He saw in their innocent eyes a world he had sworn to protect, a world he sometimes felt disconnected from. The whispers continued, fueled by a mixture of fear and fascination. He was a ghost story whispered around campfires, a boogeyman in broad daylight. They called him a hero, a patriot, a warrior, but their words rang hollow, devoid of understanding. They couldn't comprehend the weight of his experiences, the scars he carried, both visible and invisible. Jason, for his part, remained stoic, his face an impenetrable mask. He understood their apprehension, even empathized with it. He was a relic of a bygone era, a walking anachronism in a world obsessed with instant gratification and virtual realities. He was a reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface, the sacrifices made to preserve their idyllic existence. He found solace in Sarah's unwavering love, the quiet understanding in her eyes, the gentle touch of her hand on his. She was his confidant, his rock, the one person who saw beyond the rough exterior to the wounded soul within. She knew his demons, had seen the nightmares that haunted his sleep, yet she never wavered, her love a beacon in the darkness. Life in suburbia was a constant adjustment, a tightrope walk between assimilation and alienation. Jason tried, for Sarah's sake more than his own, to fit in. He attended neighborhood barbecues, awkwardly holding a beer he didn't particularly enjoy, his laughter a beat behind everyone else's. He mowed his lawn with religious precision, the smell of freshly cut grass a poor substitute for the gunpowder and cordite that lingered in his memories. One afternoon, a nondescript package arrived, addressed to Jason in unfamiliar handwriting. The sight of it sent a chill down his spine, a primal instinct warning him of danger. He retreated to his workshop, a converted section of the garage where Sarah rarely ventured. With trembling hands he opened the package, his heart pounding in his chest. Inside, nestled amidst packing peanuts, was a single photograph. It was old, faded, and creased, but the image it depicted was seared into Jason's memory. It showed a group of soldiers, their faces young and full of life, their smiles wide and unguarded. Jason was among them, his arms slung around the shoulders of his comrades, their camaraderie palpable even through the faded photograph. But it was the red X scrawled across one of the faces, the face of his best friend Mark, that sent a wave of nausea through him. The message was clear: they knew who he was, where he was, and they were coming for him. The past he had tried so hard to bury had come back to haunt him, like a ghost rising from the grave. The peaceful facade of Applewood Lane, the carefully cultivated normalcy of his suburban life, crumbled around him like a house of cards. He was no longer Jason Walker, the retired veteran, the quiet neighbor who kept to himself. He was Captain Jason Walker, a soldier once more, thrust back into a world of shadows and danger, his past sins coming back to collect their due. Panic welled up inside him, threatening to consume him. He had sworn to protect Sarah, to shield her from the darkness that clung to him like a second skin. He had built a fortress around them, a life of peaceful anonymity, but the enemy had breached his defenses. He studied the photograph again, his eyes scanning every detail, searching for a clue, anything that could lead him to the sender. Who were they? How did they find him? These questions swirled in his mind, a maelstrom of fear and uncertainty. He knew he couldn't ignore this, couldn't simply wish it away. The past had a way of catching up with you no matter how fast you ran. He had to protect Sarah, that much was clear. But how? Should he involve the authorities? Could he trust them to understand, to believe his story? Or would they dismiss him as a delusional veteran, haunted by ghosts of his own making? The weight of the world settled on his shoulders, crushing him with its immensity. He was a soldier once more, but this time the battlefield was different. This was his home, his sanctuary, and the stakes were higher than ever before. Jason took a deep breath, forcing himself to remain calm. He needed a plan, a way to neutralize this threat before it reached Sarah. He would not allow her to become collateral damage in a war that was never truly over. He owed her that much. He retrieved a metal box from the back of his workbench, its contents a testament to his past life. Inside, nestled amidst old dog tags and medals of valor, lay a collection of weapons, oiled and maintained in pristine condition. His fingers danced over the familiar weight of a Beretta 92, his old service pistol, a comforting weight against his palm. The quiet suburban life he had so carefully constructed was no more. In its place was a battlefield, his home the battleground, his family the prize. He was ready for war. He had been ready his whole life. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Applewood Lane, Jason Walker, the Sentinel of Suburbia, prepared for the fight of his life. The enemy had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated him, and they were about to learn that some scars ran deeper than the flesh. They ran to the very soul. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over Applewood Lane, a sense of tranquility settled over the neighborhood. The battle Jason had prepared for never came to pass, and instead he found himself enveloped by an unexpected peace. The community, having learned of Jason's past and the sacrifices he made, came together to honor him. Neighbors who once knew him only as the quiet man next door now saw him as a hero, a protector, and a friend. There was a celebration in the heart of the community park, where children played and laughter filled the air. Jason stood amidst his neighbors, his heart light for the first time in years. Sarah, his beacon of hope, stood by his side, her smile a testament to the life they had built together. As Jason looked around, he realized that he had finally found his place. The shadows of the past had receded, replaced by the warmth of new beginnings. The bonds he had formed here were stronger than any he had known before, forged in trust and shared respect. The sun continued its descent, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. It was a symbol of a new dawn, a fresh start for Jason and his community. The veteran who had once been haunted by his past had found peace and happiness in the simple yet profound moments of everyday life. Jason took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his old burdens lift. He was home, truly home, surrounded by those who cared for him. And as the first stars began to twinkle in the evening sky, Jason knew that this was the life he had fought for, the life he had always deserved. The battle was over, but the journey had just begun. And this time, it was a journey filled with hope, love, and the promise of tomorrow.